Alright, this video is about the Concussion movie review. Concussion is a movie that just came out just yesterday on Christmas. Um, or was it yesterday? Was it yesterday Christmas? Or it was actually 2 days ago on Christmas. And the movie stars Will Smith, and it's based on a true story. And I just saw the trailer of the movie, and it just was absolutely amazing to me. Just the trailer alone, I already saw like this is my type of movie. Like this is a deep, meaningful movie, and it stands up for exactly what I stand for, and I don't even have to watch the movie. I already know that this is the movie that I would love. And I was able to watch half the movie so far, and so far I love the movie. I can't wait to see the other half. I plan to basically just go to the theater right now today to watch it. Just got to get a babysitter, but so far I absolutely love the movie and what it stands for. And I read some articles on it, and then I read up on the doctor, read up more about him, the person who came forward with this discovery. And it's like this is the type of movie that I feel like this society needs, the type of movie that I feel America needs. And these is how I feel a majority of movies, if not 90% of movies, should be, or they're thought-provoking, and it could really challenge people's ideas, and basically educate people and help people, and make some positive changes in this world. And very few movies will you ever find that are like that. Everything's just all comedy and just negativity, and just fueling you into being stuck into your addictions, no matter it be sex, drugs, or violence, or whatever the case may be. But this movie is actually standing up for exactly what I've been standing up for since my presence online. Basically, this doctor was the one who discovered that there's this certain disease of the brain that occurs when there's like repetitive trauma to the brain from football players, constantly having their head being like jolted, ends up creating this type of disease in the brain that ends up causing, later on in life, it shows up, causing a lot of depression and suicidal thoughts, and just a lot of mental anguish. And they said that they will not be able to detect it until after the person dies. When they analyze the brain, then they'll know whether or not this person had the disease. So this is a new discovery, and where the long-term effects of this dangerous activity really destroys the person's mental health and physical health as well. And he had the research and the science to prove it. And really the football industry, the entertainment industry, is a huge threat to them, and they wanted to shut him out and potentially eliminate him because of the threat of the profits from his discoveries. And basically I see that this doctor, I see him to be like a hero, like somebody who stands up for the truth and wants to really make some positive changes in this world. And he's a scientist, extremely intelligent, and he's almost like an Albert Einstein for the brain, for his studies in the brain. And really, to me, he's representing like a Martin Luther King Jr. or a Malcolm X, somebody who stands up for the truth against all odds, and he's standing up against a huge industry, like a multi-billion-dollar industry that wants to shut him out and potentially eliminate him because of his discoveries will really change the path of the future of their industry. Essentially, his discovery is so powerful that it can almost shut down the entire industry. when more and more people become educated on the dangers of, this type of impact sport such as football and what it does to the brain, there could be less and less people that are drawn to that sport, and eventually it could come to the point where they just ban the sport from high school altogether, just like they banned boxing from high school because it's too dangerous, and obviously cage fighting is banned from high school because it's too dangerous. But football in a lot of high schools are, it's there, and once the people become educated on the dangers of football, they could potentially ban football from many high schools. And there is an article where I read where one high school did ban football from their school, I think after one of the quarterbacks, high school quarterbacks, died in the field because he got hit so hard with the tackle that it ended up bursting one of his organs inside his body, and he ended up collapsing and dying on the field. And I think they ended up banning football from their high school. So, football, I've been speaking up against mainly cage fighting ever since I've been online. And people, I've been getting a lot of heat for that. But really, the only reason I focused a lot on cage fighting is because they were supposedly trying to represent the martial arts, claiming themselves to be MMA and mixed martial arts, and to me it's the exact opposite of what martial arts is supposed to be. Martial arts is supposed to be towards like health and wellness and longevity and respect and meditation, but the MMA is completely the opposite, and I felt that it was necessary for me to stand up and speak against that. But it's the same dangers in MMA and cage fighting are the same dangers in boxing, and it's the same dangers in football. When you talk about boxing, MMA, you talk about football, these are all hard contact sports that are very dangerous for a person's health. And this doctor is saying that human beings are not they're not built to play football. And really, they're not built to box. They're not built to cage fight. I mean, he was talking about how all these other animals, like the woodpecker and the ram and all these animals that do like head-on collisions, they're born with like a built-in shock absorber within their brain that keeps them alive and keeps them like okay to be able to sustain that type of damage. But for the humans, we're not built with any of that. And this repetitive contact to the head leads towards like long-term illnesses, and basically is very harmful for the body. And he came forward with this information, and he's trying to pretty much educate the population and let them know, and set up programs to pretty much eliminate football from high school altogether. He's basically saying that children should not be engaging into this type of activity because they don't really understand the dangers, that are in these sports and activities, and they're not mature enough to make these decisions. So they should wait until they're at least 18 and then know about the dangers before they proceed forward to engage in the activity. To me, it's similar to having sex. I mean, it's illegal for children to have sex. You gotta be an adult, and it's even illegal to have sex outside of marriage. They call it fornication. So they're saying like, even if a 16-year-old is consenting to have sex with another person who's an adult, it's considered a crime because the 16-year-old is not like, they're not considered mature enough and capable enough to make their own decisions. Other people have to make decisions for them. And really, even if a 16-year-old really wants to play football, this full contact football or boxing or cage fighting, they should not be allowed because they're not an adult, and they're not capable of making the right decisions for themselves and what's good for them. So they should wait until they're 18 to decide for themselves after knowing all the risks involved, whether or not they wish to engage in this sort of activity. So really, if a 16-year-old cannot drink, if a 16-year-old cannot have sex, if a 16-year-old cannot use a firearm, then a 16-year-old also should not be allowed to play football, should not be allowed to do cage fighting, should not be allowed to practice boxing, because their body and their brains are not developed in order to engage in these risky behaviors. So really it falls down to the parents' responsibilities to the parents and the government and the law to really set up these laws to protect the children. And once the children become adults, then they could decide what they want to do as long as they're following the law. Once they're 18, then women could decide if they want to go in the porn industry, men could go into boxing, men could go into cage fighting and football after knowing all the risks involved. They could smoke, they could drink at the age of 21. I mean that's pretty much what this doctor is putting out there. He's trying to make it so then football is essentially banned from high school. And if it's banned from high school, it will severely affect its popularity, because people are, a lot of people play football to, in preparation to play high school football, so then they could prepare to get into college football and then eventually into the pros. But if football is banned from high schools, then it's really going to hurt the industry, very drastically. Then a lot of people, instead of playing football, they might play another sport that's safer, maybe like soccer or tennis or volleyball or basketball. And they would stay away from football because, they're not even allowed to play it at the high school level anyway. So it would affect the industry, and the football industry, they're very protective of the industry, and they really are not happy about this doctor coming up with this discovery. I read in the in the article that I think he discovered it in like 2002, but they didn't acknowledge it until until 6 years later, like 2009 or something. They didn't even acknowledge his discovery until like 6 years later. And now it's already 2016, and then finally they now they have a movie, and this movie, having such a popular actor like Will Smith and coming out on Christmas Day and having a great director and great acting, and it could really generate so much awareness to what's going on. And really I didn't even know myself what was going on until this movie came out. I heard a little information here and there, but it wasn't anything that I really knew much information about until now. Now I know who this doctor is, I know what this disease is, and I'm reading more about it and understanding it, and to me it's exactly representing what I've stand for since being on YouTube. It's just that I'm not a scientist, and I can't prove things through scientific discoveries, but I could just use what the doctor was saying in the movie, like common sense, to just realize, to just know that repetitive trauma to the head is just clearly not healthy. That's why bikers need to wear helmets, and that's why, like, when you fall off your bike and you hit your head, you could die. That's why when you get in a car accident and you hit your head, you could die. And being in boxing, getting hit in the head all the time is clearly not healthy. Being football, getting hit, playing football and getting hit in the head is clearly not healthy. Or cage fighting, like, it's not healthy. I know it's not. But to prove it by science and all this other stuff, it's just something that's not my field. But this person is a scientist, a very competent scientist, a very knowledgeable scientist that is putting the information right before your face to show you the dangers associated with these activities. And, just using, common sense and, just being wise. I know that this stuff is just not the way. It's not the true way, and we need to really, people like this doctor are the types of people that we should really be inspired by and admire and look up to. To me, he's a hero to me. A true hero. It's not just a football player, not just a combat sport athlete who could jump really high or catch a ball or punch really fast or knock somebody out. No, this doctor is truly intelligent and very, he's a good person. He put his own money on the line to conduct this research to help the people. His own money, his own time, and he also put his life on the line because with this discovery, I'm sure, he got a lot of death threats and people that have a lot of money that want to kill him. Just like Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X put their lives on the line, to stand up for the truth. And this person did the same thing. He's truly a hero to me. He's an inspiration to me. He's really representing exactly what I wish to represent within, my expression. From the very beginning, I'm talking about how dangerous combat sport is, how dangerous cage fighting is. And then people keep saying, well, it's not as dangerous as boxing. And it's like, they're not getting the point. My whole point is all of it is dangerous. We need to stop all of it. And really football, out of the three, out of boxing and cage fighting, football is the top one. It's the biggest industry, it's the biggest money maker, and really the most powerful industry out there in combat, in like this type of dangerous type of sport. And this person challenged the most powerful industry out there, and he's really clearly making a change because through his discoveries, the football industry is clearly making some changes. I even read an article they got sued for billions of dollars by retired football players who had this disease, and they sued the NFL and the industry for a few $1 billion, and they had to pay out these players, and now they're having new safety measures, new protocols, to try to do what they can to prevent these sort of injuries and these long-term injuries. So this doctor has been making some huge changes in the NFL and in this industry, and I really look up to him for that, and inspired by him for that, and the next is boxing, and the next is cage fighting, because if you look at the most successful industry in these violent sports is football, next is boxing, and the next is cage fighting. So if the most powerful industry starts to tumble, then the other two will tumble along with it, because if football is proven by science to be clearly unhealthy and risky and dangerous for the people, and the government starts to step in to pretty much regulate it and essentially potentially ban it, then the other two industries are going to go along with it because they're even more dangerous. Boxing and cage fighting is even more dangerous than football in a way, So, it just shows the potential, for change, and how, how one person can really make a huge difference in this world. This person is really making a huge difference. To me, he's like another Martin Luther King Jr., someone that's really making a huge difference in this world, for the positive. He's trying to just get the information out there, to show his research and his discoveries and show the people that, hey, this is what you're putting yourself at risk for, and know these risks before engaging in these activities. And, being a parent, if you really love your child and you know about these risks, why would you even allow your child to engage in this activity? Because being the parent, you are the law. You are essentially like God almost to the child. The child is created because of you. You know, the child is living because of you. The child has a place to stay, has food to eat because of you. The child has clothing to wear because of you. Wherever you move, the child goes with you. Whatever school that you want your child to attend, he will go to that school. And if you do not allow your child to play football, your child will not play football. If you do not allow your child to box, your child will not box. If you do not allow your child to engage in cage fighting, he will not engage in cage fighting. If you do not allow your child to watch TV, he will not watch TV. You have the power to really make some positive changes in your child's life. If you have your child eat healthy, your child will eat healthy. So if you love your child and you care about your child, then why would you let your child engage in such risky activities such as football, boxing, or cage fighting? You know, as a parent, you know to not allow your child to engage in these risky activities. You know, and if every parent starts becoming more responsible in raising their children, then these industries will crumble on their own because they won't have any support. Because then rather than people playing football, people might start painting, people might start dancing, people might start rapping, people might, you know, start practicing martial arts in a healthy way. Instead of doing cage fighting, people might start drumming, singing. You know, they'll be doing healthier and more positive things with their lives. And this is what the society needs. And I want to give much credit to Will Smith for taking this role. I've always had respect for him as an actor. You know, I feel that he always takes his time to choose the right movies to star in. And basically, he's somebody that's conscious, that wants to, you know, make a positive change in this world through his work. And I could see that. You know, the movies that he chooses to star in. You know, and he's a great actor. You know, and you know, I'm like way outgrown this martial arts phase and watching fighting movies. Like, this is the type of movie that I'm really into. Something where it could really change people's lives in a positive way. And I have much respect for him as an actor and taking this role and using his fame and his name to really push out the movie out there for people to watch it and learn from it. You know, and it's an amazing thing what he's doing, you know, to take part in this positive movement. Essentially, this whole movie is pretty much representing what I'm representing within the martial arts. And getting the support from Will Smith, from this doctor, from all these other actors in the movie, from the director and the producer, they're pretty much promoting what I'm promoting, which is health, wellness, safety, you know, and to not engage in these violent activities in which to, you know, for entertainment, you know, to find something more positive to do, you know, to do with your life. You know, be an actor like Will Smith. Be a doctor like this person. Don't be a football player. Don't be a boxer. Don't be a cage fighter. Be somebody that's gonna contribute something positive to this world. You know, don't just become another animal. So, I highly recommend people to take a look at this movie and to really use it as a way to reflect upon their own lives and what they choose to do. You know, because I really feel it was really your parents' job to educate you and make sure that you're on the right path. But if you're in the path of football and combat sport and cage fighting and boxing, and you're not on the right path, and your parents just kind of lost control of you, and now you're on your own and you're not going the right way. And you really need to evaluate your direction and where you're going and see if this is really the right thing for you. And I'm going to make sure that my children don't go on that path. I'm not going on that path. I never have, never will. And I want to represent, health and wellness, longevity and peace within the martial arts in Wushu. And I hope to serve as a inspiration for the people out there, just as this doctor has served as an inspiration for me and Will Smith as well.